Welcome to this week's edition of the Flag Stays Down podcast. I got a little bit different of a format for you guys this week. Myself, Andy, and Parker, we were both on vacation this week on opposite ends of the country, so it just unfortunately didn't work in terms of finding a time for all of us to sit down and chat. So we got a little bit of an anthology, a kind of an oral history of this match, and kind of our own individual breakdowns. Again, I apologize. It's not the normal conversation, but this was too important of a match not to pod this week. Today you'll be hearing from Matt. You can find him on Twitter at Matusli. You'll be hearing from Parker. You can find him at DJ Parkour, and you can find myself, Andy, at Comiskey North. Before we get started, we do just ask that, as always, you subscribe, rate, and review to the Flag Stays Down podcast wherever you do get your podcasts. But let's get into it. 2-2 against Spurs. Let's hear from myself and the boys.
Yemi Baki Yoko, oh yo, Samina Mina, Edward Mende, Samina Mina Sam Sadate. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
I think it's only fitting to start this episode off just with a big, deep sigh, because, oh man, as I sit in Sonoma, California on the last day of my vacation, Monday morning, kind of reflecting about the match and thinking about what I saw and what we witnessed all together, it was a crazy one. And I think a lot of Chelsea fans felt like points were stolen from us from a referee's perspective and just from a game perspective, that Tottenham stole 2 points and they get to celebrate the draw and we get to hang our head with the draw. That's a Chelsea thing versus a Tottenham thing. That's kind of the state of the match, and I think that's pretty indicative of how the match went and how we all kind of feel about it. So full disclosure, I didn't get to watch the whole thing in real time, which kind of sucked. We had a winery as a family booked, and so I got to watch the first 60 minutes. So just before all the fireworks started going off, when I left, it was 1-0. We were in a good position, controlling the game pretty handily, and then of course I leave, and then all hell breaks loose a little bit. So I've got a couple of notes written down of topics and things I want to touch on and just get my 2 cents. And then through the lovely edits and wonders of editing, Collins will make this all sound halfway coherent and decent. So first thing, this will just kind of be in order of events. The K2 goal, Kalidou Koulibaly, welcome to Stamford Bridge, big guy. But also want to give just the real quick shout out to Cucurella on a wonderful corner kick. Pretty well documented on the pod that we absolutely hate when our corners go to the first man and don't get beyond the first guy. Cucurella put a great ball into the box, found Koulibaly. I don't know if he was aiming for him exactly, but did find him. And man, he got his foot behind it and directed it goalwards, and that's all you need. More on that kind of a sentiment later, but that's all you need. You need to send it goal bound, and it came off his foot pretty much perfectly, and a great goal. Welcome to Stamford Bridge, man. It was cool to see. I know we're not going to expect him to score a ton of goals for Chelsea. I think he only had like a couple last year in all competitions. But when a defender scores and someone of his stature especially gets a foot behind it, I think you have to applaud it. So that was pretty awesome. Next note on my list, RLC. I thought RLC had a good game. It was fun to see him playing in a role that we sort of hypothesized and thought about that he could step in when needed as that right wing back. His footwork, man, has gotten better and better as time's gone on, and he finds himself in these tight positions, and he has a way to work it out. And he's got a lot of poise and composure on the ball. He doesn't freak out. He doesn't he doesn't, like I said, freak out, and he doesn't give it away. He kind of takes a deep breath and figures out a way out of it and works through it. So a couple of the highlights for him: he made an awesome run that was inches away from a Jorginho cross, which was a great ball, and he made a great run there, which I thought was really positive. And then got himself into the box, took a shot, got it back, gave it to Sterling, and Sterling had a pretty close chance on goal there too. So RLC, he's been one of my favorites and one of my people that I cheer for and try to champion and want to see him work his way into a regular starting role. And as time goes on, he might have it there at the right wing back, and he might just be a decent utility player for Chelsea kind of going forward. Third note that I have is the high press and just sort of this swarming pressure that Chelsea had. From my perspective, the first 60, we looked fantastic, and we were very much in control of the first 2/3 of this game. We didn't let Tottenham even breathe. It was all out pressure. We controlled the pace of the game. We controlled the ball when we had it. We were in control and set up our offense the way we wanted to. And then when the ball was turned over, given up, it was just pretty much an assault to get it back. And Tottenham didn't look comfortable at all. They were forced to send balls deep and wide, and we just kind of pressured it back and got it back, won it at will. So those are the things I love to see, and I love the work rate. We had talked about preseason, boys not looking up to shape and up to snuff, and what I saw today, week 2 of the Premier League, it's definitely they're definitely back and in a good way. So the high press led to goal number 2, which was great, but more on that in a minute. Got to talk about this Kai Havertz miss, man. Holy cow. Couldn't ask for a better ball, and as I referenced in the Koulibaly goal, it's just a ball that you need to get goalward. It doesn't need any more pace. That ball was whipped in with venom from Reece James, and absolute missile from James. Perfect ball, right between the goalie and the defender, and found Kai's foot. And to find Kai's foot, it's an inch perfect ball, and Kai just needs to put that thing on goal, man. And so I have this love-hate relationship with Kai. I try to grade him fairly in my mind, but the more I see him not scoring, the harder it is for me to do this, because in my opinion, he's got one job, and that's to put the ball in the back of the net. So trying to be impartial here and trying to give him fair grades on match performances, because I don't think he had a bad match, but he's starting to miss some of these opportunities, and they add up in my head, and that's that's kind of the nature of the beast when you're a striker or a winger, for that matter, is you get graded on your goals and assists, and that's your production. That's why we love Timo Werner, but we hate Timo Werner. That's why we've had sort of this number 9 curse, the person that wears that jersey number for us. We love him at first and then falls out of favor over time. But quickly after that Kai miss came the Reece James goal, and that was a result of high press and pressure. And when you go back and rewatch it, look where Tottenham is. They're pinned back in the back right, and everyone's up. Everyone is forcing them into bad decisions. Koulibaly puts pressure on, and Conte is able to nip it away. And then quickly there, Conte works it to Raheem, and Raheem's got the calm demeanor to find James in a ton of space. And what I love about this goal so much is the way Reece kind of like approaches the ball. He doesn't all out sprint at it. He doesn't look too excited at it. He just kind of like confidently struts up to it. And I know I'm obviously making it funny, but he kind of struts up to it and just slots it. And there was no doubt, looking at that goal, was he going to miss it or at least put it goalwards, right? And so when Reece took that goal, man, you can just tell what it means to him and what it means to the club and what it means to the fans. Reece makes me smile. I love his passion. I love that man and what he brings to the team. And I hope he never leaves Chelsea. He's just one of those dudes, man, that he's a future captain for us. And he can take us a long way. I put a lot of faith and stock into Reece James. And then after that goal, too, you see Big Tommy T, sprinting down the sidelines as well. And that's just, you love to see that, too. You love to see the passion from the manager. And you see what it means to everyone around. Stamford Bridge just erupts, and that's a pretty cool thing. So, unfortunately, doesn't lead to us in a win here. You would love to, close the storybook at that goal, and that's how it ends. But of course it doesn't. So the no red on Cucurella in the box, I don't think there's anything more to say about it. I'm sure you'll get Matthew's thesis and full on take on it, and I know you'll get conspiracy theories about the refs and everything. To me, it's just a blown call. It's pretty clear, and to me, it's just like why do we have VAR in these situations? Or what is VAR for? Because if you look back at that, I just don't know how you can't see a clear hair pull and pull down. And I can see like no red card be argued, even though it probably should have been a red card. I can see no red card be argued, but to have no call come from it, I don't know. To me, it's a clear and obvious error, and that's what VAR is supposed to be doing, is protecting us against clear and obvious errors that happen on the pitch. So, you can obviously talk about VAR too with the Højbjerg goal and the clear no foul on Kai Havertz and the lead up to that goal and all kinds of fun things. But at the end of the day, Jorginho got caught in possession and Tottenham put it in the back of the net. And, we can get hung up and talk all about the refs and all the stuff, but at the end of the day, they put it in the back of the net. Probably unfairly, but they did it. And we had our chances to put the ball in the back of the net more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. It's been our Achilles heel for a long time, is not converting those chances. And so, Tottenham shouldn't have even been in a position to equalize in the 96th minute. But they did, or there were, and then they did. The thing that bothered me about the Kane goal was you rewatch it and look back at it, and Kane got to the ball, and there was 2 other Tottenham players that were damn near on the ball as well. And so I don't know how in the hell, from a defensive perspective, we can allow the 3 closest players to a corner kick to be all Tottenham players. I don't know how there's not a Chelsea player in that mix. I don't know if we got fooled. I don't know if there was a miscommunication. I just don't know where the hell we were. That seems completely absurd that they were the 3 closest to the ball, and all it takes is one, and all it took was the leap of Kane to get up and put a ball on target. It's a sad way to finish that game. I think everybody watching it knows that Tottenham stole that from us. Stole the 2 points from us, got their own 1 and gave us 1. It's not the end of the world for Chelsea, but it's just a disappointing, bad taste in your mouth at the end of the match. So it's a game. It happened. It existed. It's definitely not the result we wanted. But I still think that there's a lot of positives and takeaways from the match that we can push forward with. And this season going into it had a lot of question marks for me, and some of the things are starting to get figured out, which is good to see. Some of the question marks still are apparent, and I don't know where we're going to get our goals from. Side note for Collins and edit, I think that would be a fun topic to bring up is how do we think, how do we think we get goals from this team going forward? What would you do? How would you draw up an offense to help us score more goals? Because I think we're going to need it. I don't think we have the iron curtain of defense that we've had in the past. I think we're going to give up some, so we have to score more in order to remain competitive. So appreciate the pod and the remote pod. When we're 3 time zones apart, it's kind of hard to find the time to get us all together. I miss you boys and miss chatting with you. But we'll be back live next week, and continue on. And we still up the Blues. We still cheer for Chelsea and Super Tommy Tuchel. We still have his back. So signing off for now. But yeah, talk soon, boys. Cheers.
Gentlemen, good evening. It's been a hell of a day. Looking at everything that kind of happened with the game and trying to take it all in and trying to analyze and kind of do what we do. It was definitely something to watch. Obviously with Collins, Parker, with the both of you guys being on vacation, I had to endure all of the suffering, the pain, the agony of watching the game and seeing everything kind of unfold. It was something. It was definitely something. I still kind of really don't know the full feelings of where I'm at right now, but it's been quite the day. I don't know. Let's just kind of start with the obvious, right? Fuck Anthony Taylor. Fuck Mike Dean, right? They've been assholes to us for a long time. How they let a lot of that stuff go is kind of beyond me. The one on Kai, I can kind of understand, but the one against Cucurella, it went unnoticed by Anthony Taylor, and then it went to VAR, who was looking at it, but it was deemed not aggressive enough for a red card. I'm gonna go ahead and call bullshit on that. It's just frustrating, especially with those two, when you know that their MO is to make the game about themselves, and that's kind of what the headlines are. If Tuchel and Conte hadn't, come to blows, then, Taylor and Dean would have taken the headlines, but luckily they were kind of in the background of that. Looking at it as a whole, it's a Chelsea-Tottenham game, right? When I was watching it early on, I was like, this is going to be kind of an open game, a little chippy, and it started off that way, definitely in the first half. I don't understand how Bentancur had 4 fouls in the first half against him, and then he picked up an early 5th foul and then possibly a 6th, and there was still no yellow. That was kind of egregious to me and very, very questionable, but then again, it's Anthony Taylor, so, you got to do it for the Spurs. I honestly like the way that the boys played today. They look good. They really look good. They look threatening. The high press was at a completely different level that I don't think we've seen in a long time. And the fact that it was consistent. It wasn't just we'll just kind of lay off for 5 minutes. No, it was constant, and we got a lot of turnovers off of it. We got some good chances. Obviously, the possession numbers, I think in the first half we were at 68 or 69% possession. I thought that we played really, really well. I thought at the end of the day we deserved the 3 points. Tottenham, got very, very fortunate. I won't take anything away from the Højbjerg finish. It was a good goal, very well placed. I will go ahead and like I do every single episode, I will go ahead and put full blame on Jorginho for that one. What in the fuck is he doing trying to juggle the ball in the box in his own 18? Like what's he doing? Clear the ball out and reset. But he's doing the same old Jorginho shit, trying to mess around, blah, 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 be crafty and try and draw the foul. Yeah, guess what? You've done that too many times. People know what you're looking for, especially officials, and especially officials that have, as we would call, an agenda against Chelsea. You have to know, especially a veteran like he is, you have to know the situation. He didn't. You can't do that. You got to take the safe option, clear the ball, boot it out of bounds. I don't care what you do, but not that. That's just absolutely piss poor from him. I don't know. I'm still on the bandwagon that I am still willing to pack his bags and let him just go wherever the hell he wants to go. Let him go back to Italy. That's perfectly fine with me. I think a couple of the big things that I saw, we're still lacking that finisher in the final third. Koulibaly, an absolute wonder strike. Channeling his inner hashtag striker Rudy, is a great hit, and off a corner from Cucurella. I mean, he cleared everybody, which is something that we haven't seen in a while because usually Mount or Reese are catching the first man. But it was good to see that. But he hit that so sweetly, almost took off Raz's head, but luckily he got out of the way. It was a great take and a great goal. We were definitely the dominant side during a lot of that. A lot of that first half, and even for most of the game, we just looked in control. As things kind of opened up, it started to get a little bit chaotic, but I think that right side of the pitch, with Reese, with N'Golo Kante, with RLC, it looked really good. I mean, they were linking up left and right, and they just kind of dominated that side. And from the way that I looked at it, it looked like Reese was kind of man-marking Son the whole time, and that's not an easy ask, but he was still able to do all of that. RLC, I thought that he played great especially for being out of position, right? We know that he's a center mid. He's playing, that right wing back position. I thought that he played extremely well. He was very fluid going forward. He defended well, won a bunch of the aerial duels, and he just looked like he was hungry. Like he wanted to be in that game. He wanted to be, a difference maker, and I thought that he was. I thought that he had an outstanding game, especially for a high profile game like that against Tottenham. Where you have some people that might crumble under that pressure. I thought he excelled. I thought that he took everything in, and he just absolutely took the game, made it his own, and I was very impressed with what I saw out of him. Working that right side, it just looks so good. I mean, Conte was Conte, right? He just did normal Conte things. He had a couple good opportunities going forward. He was linking up. He was, the same nuisance that we love him for on the defensive side of the ball, up high in the attack and on the press. I thought he had a great game. I'm a little worried about the injury just because of his history. We know that the hamstring has been an issue for him for a while. So to see him pull up that quickly, I'm not thrilled about that. In our group chat, I was lowballing by saying 6 weeks. That's kind of what I see him being out for. Obviously we don't know when Kova's going to be back yet, but I mean, if you can slot RLC in there, which he was able to play, that today when Dave came on. So it was good to see that, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough because like we played a very good game and we just didn't get rewarded for it the way that I thought that we should have. But if we can play like that game in, game out, then I'm definitely a lot more optimistic than I was at the start of the season, preseason, even last week against Everton. I liked what I saw out of the boys, and it was a very, very encouraging performance. We talk about, what else do we need? Center backs, I think, are pretty locked up. Obviously, we haven't seen Trev feature that much, but if you can have Reese play that right center back, if you can have Dave slot in and do that, like I think we'll be okay. I'm not overly concerned from that standpoint. I mean, even RLC could slot in there if you really needed him to. But it to me, I think we're fine there. But just so many squandered chances, which we've talked about this at length last year. Like, we have to be able to finish. Like, Raz, we paid you all that money and you put it over the bar from 8 yards out. Like, just put it on target. I don't even care if it goes in at that point, but give it a chance. Didn't do that. Kai had a great opportunity on that beautiful ball from Reese. That's something you expect Kai to put away. And I feel like he's hitting like that Timo slump where he's doing all the right things, but it's just not working for whatever reason. And, it's frustrating. Again, both of our goals came from defensive players, Koulibaly and Reece James. We need somebody up top that can score, and right now I don't know who that is. We're hoping that it's going to be Raz, but I mean we'll kind of see what happens. But at the same time, again, we dominated that game, and it's tough to kind of look back on it and just see, we did so well, and then to kind of be screwed over like that, almost blatantly at this point, right? It's like they're not even trying to hide it. And we were talking in the group chat, like anything to give Tottenham the advantage, blah, blah, blah. We were talking about stoppage time. Just anything to give Tottenham a chance. And the fact that things went to VAR, nothing. It just absolutely boggles my mind. And Collins, I know that you're going to love this. It fuels your fire of the conspiracy against Chelsea. And after watching that, it's hard to argue against it. The last thing, or one of the last things that I want to touch on, Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte. What a fight that would be. So I didn't get a chance to watch the Conte interview, but I did watch the Tuchel interview right after the game. I love this man. He is so much fun to listen to and to watch. He was we talk about the shithousery of Rudiger. We saw it a little bit today with Kai. You bring out angry Kai, just willing to body people because he didn't get the call that he rightfully deserved. But he just starts going after people like he doesn't give a shit. I love it. Koulibaly, I think, is the perfect replacement for Rudiger because he is just bodying people. He is a force on the defensive side of the ball, and I love seeing it. But Tuchel and Conte, it was so much fun just kind of watching that. It brought you back to the 2016 Chelsea Tottenham game where I don't know. I forget how many people got carded, but it was probably like 8 different people got carded. I think there were like 3 reds, but it was just an all-out war. And it felt like that today. And I love to see it. Obviously, Conte, when he was with us, we loved him because, obviously he won us the title. Now we don't give 2 shits. But he's still the same guy. And Tuchel, when he celebrated Reece James's goal, after the bust-up between the 2 managers, after Tottenham had scored, to see Tuchel sprint all the way past the Tottenham bench and celebrate was absolutely amazing. That is a whole new level of shithousery, and I absolutely love it. You can't teach that. You just either have it or you don't, and Tommy T definitely has it. The whole bust-up at the end, I found it hilarious. And honestly, I loved it. It's one of those things where you have 2 managers who are very passionate about what they do, and regardless of team, they're going to support their team. Obviously, Conte has a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he was obviously the Chelsea manager, and now he's with Tottenham, the main rival. So he's got a little bit more to prove, so he's probably going to be a little bit more on edge. But honestly, I'm not. I like what Tuchel did. I liked what he said. He didn't avoid the question. He just said we're competitive people. That's just how it is. But at the end of the day, the game is about the players, not about the managers. I think Conte said something along those lines, but Tuchel, he's very calm, very professional. He was all sorts of upset. Obviously, he just wanted a handshake, and Conte was just trying to get out of there as quick as possible. But Tuchel still had some respect for the game. He said, no, regardless of whatever happened, when I shake hands with a manager at the end of the match, I want to look them in the eyes. That's the way that it should be. I'm definitely with Tuchel on that. I know how Conte can be. He can be definitely a loose cannon when he wants to be, and I think this was definitely a moment or a game where he was always going to be a loose cannon, right? He had that chip on his shoulder. He had a lot to try and prove, not only to his club, but also I think a little bit against Chelsea. But the way that Tuchel handled it, I love the fact that he just ripped Anthony Taylor and said that maybe he shouldn't officiate any more Chelsea games. Absolutely love it. Couldn't agree more. Just that whole thing. I don't understand the officiating. I don't understand what they have against Chelsea, and it's gotten to a point where, like I said before, they don't even try to hide it. It's just oh, well, we know how this is going to go. It's just rough, and I don't know why. I don't know why nobody steps in or even takes a look at it. These were clear, absolutely obvious fouls that were not called. So for whatever reason, they're still allowing it, and I don't know. Something's got to change. Will it? Probably not, but I'm hoping that it does. So the last 2 things. So my personal man of the match. So I'm a little bit torn on this because I have 3 different votes. One is Koulibaly. I thought that he had an outstanding game. He scored the goal. He bodied damn near everybody on that back line. He got that huge interception to set up the goal for Reece James to put us up 2-1. I thought that he had a great game. I thought that RLC had a great game. He was doing a lot of different little things. He had a couple chances to kind of get on the score sheet and create some stuff. So I liked what I saw out of him, especially in an unnatural position. So I was a big fan of that. My other one would be Reece James. He got the goal, yes, but trying to play basically one-on-one against Son and man-mark him the entire game is no easy task because he is quick, he has an engine, and let's not forget, he played basically 60 minutes of football with a yellow card. And the fact that everything that he was doing, the crosses that he was putting in, the link-up play that he had, his defending, I thought that he had a great game. Obviously, N'Golo Conte, he did N'Golo Conte things. He had the pass into Raz to set up Reece. Like, that was good and well. He was just that pest that we as Chelsea players absolutely love, but other teams absolutely hate. And I'm hoping that it's not a long-term injury, or at least something that keeps him out for 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever the timetable is. I'm hoping it's just a little tweak and he's back in a couple weeks. But for me, I really think that my man of the match would have to be RLC. I thought that he did so much positive that is not going to necessarily be on the score sheet, but he did so many little things, and he was linking up so well, obviously playing different positions. Once Dave came in, then he switched to kind of that central mid. Reece moved out to the right wing. I thought he played exceptional in this match, winning the aerial duels. Tight spaces, he was very composed. That was my man of the match. Man of the Get the Fuck Out of Here award. Collins, you're going to have to check what Twitter said, but I'm assuming it's going to be Anthony Taylor /VAR. But from a Chelsea perspective, I'm sure all of our devoted listeners, and they know who I'm going with. It's going to be Jorginho. I can't stand it. Up until that point, he didn't have a bad game. Like, he really did. He got picked a couple times. Granted, I look at him under a microscope, so that's where my head is at. But that was obvious. Like, you can't try and juggle the ball around in your own 16. Just clear the damn thing. That, to me, pissed me off to a new level. And then, Anthony Taylor just said, hold my beer, I can up this for you. So he definitely won that battle. But, yeah, for me it was Jorginho. That's something that, again, we talk about his experience, his calmness. That's a situation where you need to just get the ball the fuck out of there. And he didn't. And for whatever reason, he doesn't. He still tries to think that he can draw a foul. But everybody knows that's what he tries to do. And he hasn't adjusted to that yet. And I don't know how long it's going to take him, if he's going to be around in the Premier League long enough for him to adjust to it. But to me, from a Chelsea perspective, that was my man of the Get the Fuck Out of Here. Aside from that, we look forward to the next match. Again, if we can keep up the way that we played, I think we're in a great spot. Obviously City and Arsenal are at the top. Liverpool, we'll find out what happens with them on Monday. The only calming fact that I have going to bed tonight is that Man United is at the bottom of the table, and that is going to help me sleep a little bit easier tonight. So I'm really, really excited about that little tidbit. So That's about all I got. All right. Cheers, boys.
So when I think about this game, it was a tough one to watch, obviously, and I think as Chelsea fans we can all agree on that. The thing that it reminded me of most, and I don't know whether it's because I was traveling for both of these games, or I guess the style of play, the way it all happened here, it reminded me a lot of Real Madrid away. The Champions League. Timo Werner scores what is going to be the winner. We're dominating most of the match. And then it's just the last 15 minutes, things get kind of out of hand. That's how it felt this week against Spurs. We dominated much of the match. Possession numbers, goals, obviously. And then Spurs just found their way back in. And, you can say that there are other things at play there. It wasn't just Spurs who found their way back in, but you can only control what you can control. It was tough to watch. I unfortunately didn't get the chance to watch it live, but watching it after the fact and knowing the result, I don't know which way I'd rather watch it. I feel like watching it this way was tough, knowing the result, knowing what was coming, but I can't imagine having to watch that live. Definitely tough. I know that the boys are going to get into the goals themselves and breaking those down. So I'll just touch on it briefly here. Koulibaly's goal was fantastic. We talk about Antonio Rudiger leaving and just the force that he is. Every time Koulibaly touched the ball in Spurs box, it was something dangerous. And that's something that we haven't had in a long time. And I just fucking wish that we would clear the first man on a corner consistently. Cucurella did that. It was, again, awesome to see. But again, for a lot of the match, we just weren't clearing the first man. I don't understand why that's an issue with this team. I said it on last week's pod, and I'll reiterate it again. I feel like we are Liverpool. What was that, maybe 2013, 2011, 2012, something somewhere in there, under Rafa Benitez, where they just were inefficient on set pieces, both defending them and going forward in attack. And that's how I feel we are right now. And Tuchel needs to make a change. If he's the one who's in charge of set pieces, he needs to hire a set piece specialist. If he has a set piece specialist, he needs to go out and get a new one. It's starting to hamper the progress of this team. Again, we did score on this corner kick, and it was great. Cucurella getting the assist in his first match at Stamford Bridge. Koulibaly scoring at his first match at Stamford Bridge. But later down the road, we do concede off of a set piece. So something needs to be done there. The second goal, Reece James, just brilliant. I don't know what else to say about that goal. Honestly, the better part was Tuchel running down the touchline to celebrate. Very Mourinho-esque. Matt will continue to make that comparison of Mourinho to Tuchel. I don't quite see it yet, but the celebration definitely fit in there. Now, I know the big issue with the game is the refereeing, so I guess I'll just touch on that a little bit here. There's going to be people claiming conspiracy, and yes, it's Anthony Taylor. Yes, it's Mike Dean. But I know a lot of fans of other teams, and they all claim the same thing. Anthony Taylor hates them. Mike Dean hates them. So I don't know how much I buy into, those two have an agenda against Chelsea. I know Mike Dean is definitely pro Spurs, but I don't know if he's necessarily anti-Chelsea. Anthony Taylor, for whatever reason, just gets our big games. Those are always going to be highly charged. But again, I don't think he's necessarily anti-Chelsea. I think he will be now after Tuchel called him out by name. But honestly, I think it's just negligence on the part of those two in regards to the two fouls. I can understand the first one. Kai Havertz getting fouled. Maybe he didn't get a good look at it. And it's certainly not enough to go to VAR. although Chelsea certainly have been screwed in a similar situation in the past. But I guess I can understand why that one was allowed. The second one, Cucurella getting his hair pulled, I don't understand why that's not reviewable. I don't understand why it's not at least a yellow card. I have heard through a couple different sources that there's no rule in the Premier League specific to hair pulling. That's fine. I mean, there doesn't need to be specific rules about hair pulling, but you look at, the definition of what VAR can be called for, and you look at, what a red card can be issued for, and it's violent conduct, which certainly is that, yanking a guy down by his hair, and also clear and obvious errors in terms of, looking at VAR. This was a clear and obvious error. It definitely should have been called. I don't know if Mike Dean is, up in the box taking a nap now that he's semi-retired, or whether, again, he just wants to keep his name out there in the media and amongst fans. But he should have at least, even if he didn't think it was a red card, he should have at least had Anthony Taylor go over to the screen to review it. Had they done that, I don't think that it's as big of a controversy now as as it is. At least having that VAR review, at least having him go to the screen, they still may not give the foul, they still may allow the goal, but at least they looked. It's an optics thing, and especially when you're being watched by billions of people worldwide for the big game on Sunday, you want to make sure that you're giving off that what you're doing, at least that you're doing your due diligence, and they didn't do that. Now, with that all being said, I have signed the petition personally to make sure Anthony Taylor does not ref any further Chelsea games. I don't think anything's going to come of that, but you want to have your name on the record. So I do highly encourage all of you to go check that out. Again, there's a petition floating. I believe it's on change.org to have Anthony Taylor not officiate any future Chelsea games. So if you're a Chelsea fan, definitely go out and sign that. Now, I know it's going to come up, and it's unfortunate that we're not all together live here, but I know it's going to come up. Jorginho's fault in one of the Spurs goals. I know what Matt's going to say. I know Matt's probably going to say, get the fuck out of here, and, he'll pack Jorginho's bags, and blah, 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 blah. Jorginho had a great game. I thought his distribution was brilliant. He was putting the ball forward, which, again, is something that Matt doesn't seem to acknowledge. Jorginho was playing the ball forward. He looked good in attack. He is, I've said it 100 times on this pod, he is the facilitator on this team. If we need to slow things down, he will slow things down. If we need to press forward, he will look forward. He is the quarterback on the field. He is calling the shots, and I thought he did a great job of that. Now, did he get stuck in defense, leading to the Spurs goal? Absolutely. He was the last Chelsea player to touch the ball there. But I've seen that play now probably 6 or 7 times. Yeah, I can see where Matt and others are going to be like, oh, clear the ball, boot it downfield, boot it. Jorginho was under a lot of pressure, and he did not have that ball under control immediately. I don't think he had time to get rid of the ball. He just didn't. Spurs were too quick on the pressure. I'm not sure N'Golo Conte would have gotten that ball out of there. I think the only person who could have got that ball out of there would have been an Antonio Rudiger, someone who would have taken a beating or prevented people from beating him down to get that ball out of there. I don't think Jorginho had a shot in hell to get that ball out of there. So, is it a what came first, chicken or the egg kind of situation? Yeah, I mean, it probably is. I'm not a Jorginho supporter, but I respect what he does. I don't think he could have got that ball out of there, but I can also see where, from Matt's perspective, being a Jorginho hater, he would think, clear that ball. Like, what the hell are you doing? So it's a tough one. I don't necessarily blame Jorginho for that goal. I think there are definitely other things at play there. Speaking of pressing, though, it was really nice to see Chelsea finally press consistently in a match. We've only seen that a handful of times under Thomas Tuchel. Every time it makes us look good. I don't know why we don't do it more consistently, especially against teams that are coming at us in attack, like Spurs, Liverpool, City. We have the personnel to do it. We have the legs. It's a bunch of young guys. It's not like it's aging veterans. We should be doing it more, and I hope to God that we do. And then the last thing I want to touch on today is Tuchel versus Conte. A lot of Chelsea fans, unfortunately, just with the way soccer is in America here, did not become Chelsea fans, until the later years of Conte, or until Conte was already gone. Didn't get a chance to watch him. And yes, Conte got us a league title. That was one of the best years in terms of watching Chelsea. But he also did a lot to fuck us over. Whether you look at his transfer record, you look at the dead weight in this club, and a lot of it was brought in by Antonio Conte. Then throws a temper tantrum when he's not given full rights to transfers. Has a big falling out with the club, and then ends up suing the club after we had fired him. So not only are we on the hook for his contract, but then there's litigation, there's everything that comes with being sued. Antonio Conte put this club in a hole. And then for him to come back and manage at Spurs is... I was done with the man long before this, but I don't know what it is. It's almost, little man syndrome, I guess you could call it, where he has to prove a point. I don't... dude, cool, you got a point against Chelsea. He's never beaten Tuchel. I don't believe Conte has beaten Chelsea. It kind of comes off as sad at this point. And I give Tuchel a lot of credit. He got irate, but only after the situation had allowed for it. He wasn't... I don't feel that Tuchel was going after Conte early in the match or anything like that. Conte is just a disrespectful piece of shit. And honestly, the next time we face Spurs, I can't wait for Tuchel to flash those guns again, because he could lay Conte the fuck out. But that's enough on that. We certainly do appreciate everyone listening. Again, this is kind of a weird episode where you're getting 3 different takes from 3 different recordings. That I'm kind of splicing all together here. Going forward, we will be all together for our normal 8:30 p.m. Central Time chats. You can catch those on Twitch. Just follow us at FlagDownPod. And as always, you'll be able to catch those conversations via the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We just ask that you subscribe, rate, and review. In terms of social media, you can follow the podcast itself at FlagDownPod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow me, Andy. I'm at Comiskey North. You can follow Matt at Matus Lee, and you can follow Parker at DJ Parkour. And so we're not all going to cheers today, but I do just want to cheers. Pour a drink here for our friends, the Beltway Blues in D.C. They're the bar that they congregate at. Had a fire over the weekend prior to the match. And from the pictures online, it did not look great. So, our thoughts are with that group, and with certainly the bar's owners and any other groups that use that bar to watch their matches. The soccer community here in America is pretty special. Everybody kind of, regardless of who you support, comes together in times of need. And so I ask that there is a GoFundMe out there. Just go check it out. Help that bar and help that club. supporters club back on their feet here. So once again, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
I'm all potted out.